What else could we put on the robot, Jesse?
Clams?
Clams. We have clams, different oysters. So what are the difference of those oysters here? No idea? Okay. All right. Their locations, where they're from. Okay, so what do we have here? Okay. What does that tell you, or what do you think might be the difference between northern, western, and southern oysters? North, west, south. Yeah, that's a good start. But what does that tell you? Flavor may be different. So what do you expect from a northern oyster? Let's say from around here, East Coast.
Yeah, fresh, clean, like, I don't know.
I hope that fresh, clean thing we get from all of them.
Right.
But if they come, let us say a big contrast maybe from the northeast and from the south. So you get some oysters from Louisiana.
I think they would be saltier.
They're going to be what?
Saltier.
Saltier?
But
Any
still
other thought?
feeders, right?
Do your homework on different kind of oysters? Warmer water? With the what?
Well, I don't recall, so.
Anybody? What's that? I asked you first. You don't know. So if oysters come from warmer waters, did you ever hear the saying that you shouldn't eat or harvest oysters or sell oysters in the months without an R? Like May, June, July, August. Why would that be? Yeah. Well, not necessarily was, but different.
Is that here?
Perhaps
You
you.
still have filet sandwich?
Warm water, a lot of the oysters, a lot of the oysters get a little bit creamier. Like the appearance is not as translucent. So in other words, they are a little fattier, and that will reflect the taste. The West Coast species is a completely different oyster than from the East Coast, from the northern oyster. Now, when we open oysters or clams, we have two knives. One of them is flat, almost looks like a knife without a point. That knife would be your clam knife. You have another one that has a little hook to it up front. That would be considered your oyster knife. So when we work with shellfish like this, what's the first thing you need to do?
Identify your product.
I'm sorry?
Identify your product.
Identify the product. We identify it. What's the first thing we need to do? What did you do?
Clean them.
Clean them. Clean them. Why do we have to clean them? They're dirty. They're in the sand. There's a lot of sand in there. So first we got to clean them, and then we need to watch what?
They're open.
If they're open. If they're open, just open a little bit. Apply a little pressure. If it closes up again, they're alive. If you apply it open and it opens back up, they're dead. You gotta discard them. Okay. So, what other clams we have?
Top neck.
Top necks? A little neck. Okay. So when we have any clam, basically the same thing. We can put them in like a towel. There, you don't have to. Those you can put in your bare hand. You put them in your hand like this, where you have this knot staying out here, like this shorter curve. You take your clam knife, you go right into the center, and sometimes they're very tight. That's okay. So what you do then is you go into the back. You loosen the shell a little bit from the back, and you turn them around again. And all of a sudden, it's very easy to go in there, right? So once you're in there, God bless you. Once you're in there, you twist your knife. Twist, and you hold that open. You always hold your clams sideways. If you put them down the long way, all the liquid will drip out. You want to save that liquid. So when you have to, you hold it like this, you go over the top of the shell. And then you come around. And then once you have that, you want to save the liquid, but you need to loosen all the muscles. This shell is a little bit cracked, so I'm going to transfer this over here. So everybody understands that we need to loosen the muscles because it's a raw bar, right? So people just pick it up by the shell and just try to serve it off the shell. If you do not loosen the muscle, you're going to start pulling and then you have clam juice all over and a mess. So you always got to make sure it's consumer friendly. You also need to make sure that you don't cut through those clams or any of those clams, oysters, that you don't cut through. So you just go over the top, loosen it from the top shell, put it back down. Because if you cut through them, what's going to happen? It's going to look like somebody ate it already. It's not going to look very nice. All right. So in what order are those oysters laid out?
Northern on the bottom.
Northern on the bottom. So there again, you see all the oysters, they have a flat side and the rounder side. The round side is the cup. That needs to be on the bottom. Some people shuck oysters, wear some gloves. Some people wear a towel. Some people just leave the oysters on the table. There are a lot of different methods of shucking them, but what does that tell you? Why would some people wear gloves?
Cut their hands.
Because you're going to apply pressure, and this oyster knife, actually that blade is very dull. So when you apply a lot of pressure, you're going to stab yourself pretty bad. So you got to be careful. So basically what you want to do is, right over here, you have the end of the cup. So you want to enter your point a little bit there. Once you're in, you loosen that a little bit. And not unlike the clams, once you're in there, you twist your knife. Once you twist it, it comes loose, and then you cut across the top. And then you also loosen the top, or the bottom of it. There's a muscle there as well. So once you're finished, you have all the oyster liquor in there. And look at the oyster, not cut up, nice whole. That's what you want. Okay, so you don't have to apply a lot of pressure when you do that, or a lot of force. Strength has nothing to do with that. Precision. You got to hit them at the right spot. So once you're in there, you twist it. And you cut it. Okay, so you do not cut up the oysters. You can reshape them. That's sometimes the outside, the beard. So it always looks like a whole oyster, not that somebody ate it. And then here again. Just go in there a little bit, loosen it up. Once you found that spot where you need to go in, you twist it, cut the top free, and you need to do a careful job with cutting the top free, like one clean cut should do it, and then you just go around and loosen the bottom. Any questions? So brutal force doesn't get you anywhere. You've got to get to the right spot, and you need to pop that muscle open at the end, and then loosen the muscles on each side. Yes?
For the clams that you open them, why is it you go to the front and not in the back, like where the...
I went through this area here because in the back there's a little knot and it's tough to cut in there. With the clam knife goes right in between the shell. And then sometimes if you, like that shell was very tight, it almost started breaking. That's why I went into the back, loosened it up a little bit, and then through the side again. There's always plan A is do it right, and then plan B is you recover from plan A if plan A doesn't work. Okay, but this is very straightforward. Make sure your your clams and oysters look whole, not all cut up, and make sure they're sitting in some of its own liquor or liqueur. All right?
Yes, sir.
Then go ahead and do it in the same order.